What's going on, Bills Mafia? It's your man Rev, and you are now tuned into a brand new episode of the Rated Rev Show. I am so excited to be here with you guys again, but today I am breaking down the Bills' biggest free agency moves, the good, the bad, and the risky, right here. But now, for those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. This show is all about giving you guys that unfiltered, unadulterated Buffalo Bills talk from a fan's perspective. If you're looking for a lot of X's and O's and breakdowns and deep dive analysis, I'm not your guy. But if you want that highly passionate, highly emotional Buffalo Bills take, you are in the right place. So again, today we're talking about some of the biggest moves in free agency that the Buffalo Bills have made. And I want to kick things off in episode 1 by breaking them into 2 categories. The first category are the homegrown talent, and the second one are the new additions. Are you ready? Let's get it popping. Homegrown talent. These are the guys that we drafted, developed, and just extended. And I cannot wait to dive into it with number 1, my man, Khalil Shakir. Listen, Khalil Shakir. This was a well-deserved, well-earned contract. He has done everything right since the moment he stepped foot on One Bills Drive. The man is clutch. We know that. He's dependable. We know that. And his impact on this offense goes way beyond the stat sheet. But I would be remiss if I didn't give you a little bit of what he brought to the table, especially last year. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. In 2024, Khalil Shakir finished the year off with 45 receptions for 680 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaging an impressive 15 yards per catch. Now, that's what I call efficiency. Now, granted, he may not be that vaunted, quote-unquote, wide receiver number 1, but he is a do-it-all guy that brings everything to the table. And he is what every great offense needs. So I am looking forward to seeing him continue his development with Josh Allen. And here's the best part. I think that he is still ascending. He has just scratched the surface of all of his potential. So I expect him to be even more involved in the offense next year, or rather this year. And with Josh Allen now locked up, we're going to talk about that here shortly too. The chemistry between them both should only get better. Smart move by Brandon Beane in the front office. I love the extension of Khalil Shakir. Let's keep it moving. Next up, Terrell Bernard, middle linebacker from Baylor University. Look, this was a no-brainer to me. Bernard stepped up into his first full season as a starter back when they first let go of Tremaine Edmonds. I know a lot of you guys remember that. When Tremaine Edmonds left in free agency, many of us were wondering and scratching our heads trying to figure out what the Bills were going to do at the middle linebacker position. But Sean McDermott said, yo, pause, timeout, I got it. He's already on the roster. Terrell Bernard came in, and he came in with a blaze. Showed out his first full year as a starter with the Buffalo Bills, and he has always, and it's only continued to get better and better every year. But let's talk about the numbers of last year. Bernard last year recorded 145 tackles, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles. High-level production for a guy that I would venture to say many across the National Football League have never even heard of. But that's okay. Homegrown talent right here in Buffalo stays under the radar but continues to produce. And it proves why. It proves why the Bills were comfortable moving on from Tremaine Edmonds and giving the crown and passing the torch to Terrell Bernard. Make no mistake about it, guys. He is the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills defense. He makes plays in the run game, in pass coverage, and as a blitzer. And we know the level of responsibility that Sean McDermott places upon the middle linebacker of his defense. This extension, again, was well earned, and Bernard is going to be a cornerstone for this defense for many, many years to come. And I can't wait to see what he brings next in this year. Let's keep it moving, baby. Next on the docket, Greg Rousseau. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I wasn't too excited about this one. I really wasn't. Now I get it. I understand why they did it, but I'm not in love with it. So for me, look, Rousseau is a solid player. He is. Now, he is that prototypical Sean McDermott power defensive end. That's what he is. He's not a crazy sack guy. Okay. He's never been that type of player, except for that 1 year back in college. Since then, he's never been that guy. But what he is, though, is an elite level run defender and an edge setter. Last year, finished the year with 6 sacks, 12 tackles for loss, and 15 quarterback hits. I mean, those are decent numbers, right? But not elite, especially not when you consider paying the guy big time money. But we all know that his real value on this team lies in what he brings to the table as a run defender. At 6'6", 267 to 270 pounds, I mean, he definitely makes an impact and impacts the game in ways that don't always show up on the stat sheet. We saw what he did last year. There are many games last year where he just flat out took over, right? But again, for me personally, now this is Rev talking. For me personally, I need to see more of those game-changing plays from a man, Greg Rousseau, a.k.a. Groot. The Bills need somebody across the defensive line who can consistently collapse the pocket, bring pressure, and sack the quarterback. And while Greg Rousseau is good, I'm not quite sure he's ever going to be elite when it comes to that sack production. But I could be wrong, and I hope to be wrong. So hopefully this contract motivates him to take that next step. Moving on. The one we've all been waiting for. Josh Allen, our MVP from last year. It signs a massive extension with the Buffalo Bills, locking him up all the way through the 2029 NFL season. Look, long overdue. Long overdue. My man was playing for pocket change when you consider some of the contracts that were being handed out to some of these mediocre style quarterbacks. But Josh was patient. He understood what was going on. He understood he wasn't going nowhere. The Bills were going to sign him. They were going to extend him. They were going to give him the money that he was due. But he was allowing Brandon Beane to build the team around him. And have they done that? I believe so. But a lot is still to be determined. But when it comes to Josh Allen, again, top 3 quarterback in the National Football League, argue with a wall, okay? But not me. He's carried this team on his back ever since he was drafted, okay? Well, last year, in his MVP season, put up 3,700 passing yards, 28 passing touchdowns, and a career-low 6 interceptions. Completed 63.6% of his passes, and he also attributed 531 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns on the ground. MVP level production from our very own Josh Allen. And let me tell you this, my man deserved every single penny of that contract. And honestly, the Bills should have locked him up a lot sooner. But nevertheless, he's here. He's not going anywhere. He will retire a Buffalo Bill. Make no mistake about that. Now, the real challenge, though, becomes in whether or not Brandon Beane is able to continue to build a team that doesn't require him to put on the cape every single week like he's had to do for his entire career so far. Let's hope things change this year and they're able to get over the hump. But my man Josh Allen, massive extension, well-deserved. Now is the time when we are going to talk about some of these free agent acquisitions that were brought into the fold, brought into the squad. All right, Bills Mafia. So while you're still here, smash that like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, and let's keep this thing moving. All right, number 1 on the docket is wide receiver Joshua Palmer. Now, I will admit, I was not expecting them to sign him. He was not even on my radar. Okay, he wasn't. I actually thought the Bills were going to pass on a wide receiver in free agency, and we're just going to stick with the draft, get younger, right? I mean, look at you got a young guy in Keon Coleman. You just extended Khalil Shakir. I thought that they're going to add another guy in the draft. Lo and behold, Brandon Beane went on and found him a guy, and Joshua Palmer, formerly of the Los Angeles Chargers. Sneaky good move, I think. Okay, what he brings to the offense is something that I believe that the Bills have been missing, and that is a true vertical threat and from what I've been able to see and what I've heard, an exceptional route runner. Okay, let's take a look at what he did last year. In 2024, my man had 38 receptions for 581 yards and 4 touchdowns, averaging a shade over 15 yards per catch. Sounds like what the Bills need on offense, right? Yeah, that's exactly what this offense needs, all right? Because we know since they've moved on for Stephon Diggs, a lot of their production has come underneath. Teams have been putting that shell and making Josh Allen and the offense march down the field horizontally, play the horizontal game. And last year, Josh did a good job at it. He did a good job at it. Joe Brady came in and was like, yo, everybody eats, right? That was a mantra across the offense. Everybody eats, and boy, did everybody eat last year, right? And they did it successfully. One of the top offenses of production last year. But when you consider what they're going to do next year and moving forward, they can't just be content to run it back. They have to add somebody else who can bring something else to the table. And that was what I believe to be a true vertical threat, a route runner who can stretch the field vertically. They hadn't had that since Stephon Diggs and really since John Brown. When you think about a vertical threat, if they bring that, if they have that guy in Josh Palmer, man, oh man, does that open things up for everybody else underneath? All right, it creates space underneath for guys like we mentioned, Khalil Shakir, like second-year wide receiver Keon Coleman, like Dalton Kincaid, who I believe is going to have a breakout year now that he's healthy. And even James Cook, if he's even on the squad. We'll see what happens with James Cook in the future, but I digress. I'll touch on that some other time. So, needless to say, what Josh Palmer brings to the offense is exactly what this offense needs. Let's hope that Joe Brady has a plan, which I'm assuming he does, and he's able to work him in the offense and get things cracking with him and Josh Allen. What I do like is that he's still young. I think he's 25, 26 years old. He can grow with Josh in this offense, much like when they traded for Stephon Diggs. Stephon was very young. I think Stephon was 28, around there. So Palmer is younger than Stephon Diggs was, but I could be wrong. So don't quote me on that. But remember, Stephon Diggs, people were thinking like, hey, Rev, like Palmer, he's never been that guy. And I would agree with you. He never has been that guy. He played behind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in Los Angeles. But let's not forget, Stephon Diggs, when he was with Minnesota, wasn't the number one guy either. He was playing behind Adam Thielen. And it wasn't until he got on the squad with the Bills and Josh Allen where he just exploded onto the scene, led the league in receiving that 1 year, became a true bona fide wide receiver one in the National Football League. Yeah. So I'm expecting the same thing to happen with Josh Palmer. They're paying the man handsomely. He brings to the table what Stephon Diggs did, route running, vertical threat, big body receiver. I think the sky's the limit for Josh Palmer in his offense. But again, everything is to be determined. We shall see. All right, but I do like this move. Next up, the big fish, Joey Bosa. Now, I was not expecting this one. I definitely was not expecting Joey Bosa. And in fact, y'all, look, I wasn't really a fan of it. Now, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of him because I believe that Joey Bosa, when healthy, is one of the top elite pass rushers in the National Football League. Okay? He's a game wrecker, game changer. Bills fans, we remember what he did to Josh a few years ago. Almost shattered his leg. Okay? Like he's elite when healthy. Okay? And that's the problem, right? He's rarely been healthy of late. Over the past 3 seasons, he's missed 23 games. And last year alone, he had just 6.5 sacks in 9 games. So, I mean, when you look at the contract, 1 year, $12 million with, the potential to earn up to $15 million, or something like that, I mean, hey, it's not a lot. It's not a high investment, especially when you consider some of the contracts they were throwing out, like Myles Garrett, who I wanted and many other people wanted, but $40 million a year? Yeah, no, I'm out on that one. So I'll settle for 12, assuming that Joey Bosa can be Joey Bosa and remain healthy. Okay? So the Bills are gambling that a rotation and, mind you, a new strength and conditioning coach will help keep him on the field. So I hope it works out for him, but I'm still skeptical. We will see. But if he's able to stay healthy, look out. We just might have gotten us a guy. All right. Next on the list, another pass rusher, defensive lineman, versatile guy, Michael Hoyt. Michael Hoyt, an interesting addition. Again, he's versatile. He can play inside, outside, which makes him extremely valuable in this offense. In this defense. The only problem, though, is the guy is suspended for 6 games due to a PED violation. 6 games of the year, gone. All right, gone. Now, Brandon Beane he was aware of it. So, unlike the other guy I'm going to mention, but nevertheless, he's signed to, I think, a 3-year contract. Hopefully, when he comes back, he's able to produce. But let's talk about what he did on the field last year. Last season, he had 6 sacks and 9 TFLs. Similar production to Joey Bosa, right? Yeah. So he shows that he can be disruptive. He plays all over the field. He can even play in coverage. All right. This guy is I haven't seen anything like this in a very long time. But again, as I mentioned, he's going to be out for 6 games. So will he be able to come back and make an impact on the team after 6 games? We'll see. I don't know, but it's a tough start. Next up. Now, this guy right here, this is a head scratcher for me. Defensive tackle Larry Ogunjobi. I really don't understand the signing behind this guy. I mean, he's a 3-tech defensive tackle. The Bills have 3-tech defensive tackles galore. You got Ed Oliver and you got Dwayne Carter, okay, whom you just drafted. So why bring another 3-tech D tackle on the team and pay him $8 million? And oh, by the way, he's suspended for 6 games as well to a PED violation. What are you doing? Now, in Brandon Beane's defense, he did say he didn't know about it. He wasn't made aware of it until the guy came to Buffalo. So, it's like he's stuck, right? Even though if I was Brandon Beane, I would get out of that contract. I'd be like, you know what? Forget it. But I digress. I'm not the guy in charge. So let's talk about why he's here. Last year, 5.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss, 13 QB hits from the defensive tackle spot. Okay, so it seems to me that the Bills are looking for pass rush across the defensive line. Maybe not so much run stopping, which is a kind of a big deal in my opinion because, like, the Bills were getting run all over the yard last year. So pass rush is not going to stop that. It really isn't. I mean, you look at in the AFC Championship game, yeah, they didn't get out to Patrick Mahomes, but leading up to that, they weren't able to stop the run. And I guess from their perspective, they're like, yo, we didn't need to. We still made it to the AFC Championship game. Yeah, but you can't think that you're going to be able to do that again next year. Teams are going to run all over you if you decide to continue to pull out and trot out a light defensive line. They're going to get abused. So, I don't know. Let's hope that Brandon Beane has a plan, and when we look into the draft and we go past the draft, we see a very large, massive human being drafted and added to the defensive line. But until then, I'm very skeptical of this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? That wraps up a very first welcome back episode of the brand new Rated Rev show. Again, we broke down some of the biggest moves of free agency in the Buffalo Bills, and now I want to hear from you, Bills Mafia. Which move was your favorite, and which one do you hate? Do you think that Brandon Beane did enough to keep the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl contention, or do you think he needs to do more? What say you? What other holes do they have on the team? Like cornerback 2, mainly, right? Oh, but by the way, they did sign Dane Jackson. Womp womp. Brought him back. Womp womp. Okay, whatever. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's your man Rev. This is the Rated Rev show. Grace and peace. God bless and go Bills. I'm out.